Today was the second day of hearings in the UN International Court of Justice. Ukraine was presenting its evidence and arguments proving Russia's aggression. Yesterday, Russia was struggling to prove that all accusations are groundless and the court does not have jurisdiction to consider the case.
Their arguments come down to the expectation by the Russian side that this court on the case filed by Ukraine has to give answers to the issue of Russia breaching the Convention on combating all forms of discrimination. The Russian delegation is planning to silently sit there as if this issue does not concern them.
Moscow is deliberately dragging out the hearing of the case to avoid responsibility. This was stated by the head of Ukrainian delegation, Olena Zerkal. She also reminded that during preliminary hearings in 2017, the court obligated Russia to give Majlis the right to function in the annexed Crimea and to stop persecuting Crimean Tatar and Ukrainian activists. Yet the Kremlin ignored this decision.
I must express Ukraine's dismay at Russia's lack of respect for a binding order of this court. The situation was urgent 2 years ago, and it is even more urgent today. The Majlis remained banned. Ukrainian language education has all but disappeared in Crimea. The Crimean Tatar children are taught from new textbooks that seeks to justify the mass deportation of their people by Stalin in 1944. Moreover, Russia continues to this day to aggravate the situation and to multiply its unlawful actions.
Following its unlawful 2014 occupation of Crimea, which we do not contest in this forum, Russia launched a wide-ranging campaign of cultural erasure directed against Crimean Tatar and Ukrainian communities on the Crimean Peninsula. Both halves of this ongoing campaign fall under this court's jurisdiction under the third. First, Russia has comprehensively attacked the political and civil rights of Crimean Tatar and Ukrainian communities by systematically repressing their leaders and representative institutions. In particular, Russia has sponsored or condoned extreme violence, including abduction, torture, disappearance, and murder against activists from Crimean and Tatar Ukrainian communities while undertaking no serious investigation.
Ukraine is accusing Russia of financing terrorist forces in the Donbas conflict zone and breaching human rights in the occupied Crimea. The UN International Court of Justice received a memorandum with evidence of Russian aggression consisting of 29 books, which is around 17,000 pages worth of facts and testaments.
We are not asking the court to make a decision whether Russia has committed acts of aggression against Ukraine. We have filed a case on the breaches of international conventions, on terrorist financing ban, and elimination of all kinds of racial discrimination. Russia has not persecuted those who took part in financing of terrorism in Ukraine. Lack of action, protraction of the case, and absence of cooperation in the investigation. All these actions are obvious breaches of international conventions committed by Russia.
Ukrainian representatives are adamant that they have collected enough evidence to prove the Kremlin guilty. As a result of Russia's aggression in the Donbas and in Crimea, the MH17 flight was shot down by Russian hybrid forces. A bus full of people was shelled near Volnovakha, and residential neighborhoods in Kramatorsk and Mariupol were attacked using artillery, resulting in the deaths and injuries of many. Reported by Inna Kosinska, UATV.